Let's just do a quick overview of the history of the fall away from biblical authority to where we find ourselves today, or in a more general sense, how truth was determined since the early church up to now. Now, by the year AD 250, there was nearly universal agreement on the canon of Hebrew Scripture, on the 66 individual books that the Bible is composed of. And the initial belief was, let's see what the author meant by what was written. Let's draw the meaning from the text, being faithful to the style it was written in, of course. When we do that, we'll have truth from God. And that was Augustine's great contribution to understanding truth.
Yeah. Then as Catholicism gained ground, it became, what does the church think the author means? And that was easy to do because no one held a Bible.
Yeah.
Bibles were locked up and unavailable for people aside from the clergy, so there was no way to verify what the priests were teaching. We're very privileged today. Most people can get a copy of the Bible. It wasn't always like that.
Right, moving forward to the Enlightenment in the mid-1700s, we saw the birth of modernism. Modernism said that science and human reason was the path to understanding truth, not revelation from God via the Bible. We can reason our way to truth. We can find out how everything works, and then we'll know the truth about life, the universe, and everything.
Well, the Enlightenment, that's a very positive spin on a movement that actually resulted in a shift away from finding the truth, not toward it.
Yeah.
It really ought to be called the Endarkenment, since it was all about trying to arrive at truth from an inferior means.
Yeah.
It was the abandonment of biblical authority.
Right after the Endarkenment, so now we're in the late 1700s, early 1800s, Friedrich Schleiermacher, the father of the modern version of liberal theology. Liberal theology started years before, but he began applying Enlightenment principles to understanding the biblical text. He said it was all about the psychology of the biblical authors. It wasn't like, what did Paul really mean? It was, who is Paul? Let's get into the psychology of Paul and figure out what he was all about, and then we'll be able to figure out what their message was really all about.
Liberal theology progressed in the 1800s. Now it wasn't about what the text means or what the author is about, but we can't be sure that the document is reliable.
Yeah.
And we're not sure it's even written by those people.
Right, yeah. Moses didn't write the Pentateuch, and he had some help from J, E, D, and P, and there may have been 2 or 3 or 7 Isaiahs, who knows, and Mark and Q were maybe the source of the Synoptic Gospels. Liberal theology destroyed the source.
Then in the 1940s, nuclear destruction brought doubts about science being the answer.
That's right.
And there was a realization that maybe human reasoning isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
So beginning in the 1940s, modernism began to crumble. Then it died in the 1960s, and after that came postmodernism.
And postmodernism found yet another way to get further from biblical truth. But where else can you go? There's really only one place to go. After you get rid of the author, you get rid of the author's intent, you get rid of the text. It used to be centered on what the author meant, then it was centered on the author, then it was centered on whether the text was reliable or not. Now the only place left to go is the reader.
Have you heard of reader response theory? Some of you might remember the Phil Donahue show. Remember how he would go around with the microphone, what does that mean to you? Oh, that's nice. What does that mean to you? Oh, that's nice. What does that mean to you? Oh, that's nice too. Reader response theory argues that a text has no meaning before a reader experiences or reads it.
Yeah, a lot of you won't know about Phil Donahue. Another example, my wife and I were in a Bible study years ago, and we had these worksheets that went along with it, and one of the questions was, what does the text mean to you? Now, there's an example of trying to mix postmodernism with Christianity. My wife kind of nudged me and leaned over and crossed out the words "to you." It doesn't matter what it means to you. All that matters is what it means. And then you can figure out the implications for your life.
But it's actually gone even further than that in recent years.
Yeah. Yep.
Today, it's like reader response theory on steroids. It's not about facts or trying to get at truth at all. It's about feelings. If you say something that makes someone else uncomfortable, regardless of how true it is, then you're wrong. So truth is determined by feelings. How would that alter some of the game shows today?
Yeah, that's right. Yep, facts don't matter. Sorry, Jeannie, your answer was correct, but Greg was offended, so he gets the point. Now, obviously, you can see how someone who's influenced by today's postmodern thinking is not only going to have a tough time grappling with reality in general, they're going to have a tough time with biblical authority, where God communicates what reality is and what life is all about.